Hi, everyone, and welcome back into another episode. It is so nice to be here with you, and I'm really excited for this topic that we're diving into today. We're going to be talking about becoming an embodied woman. I want to talk to you about embodiment, which is one of my favorite things to talk about because embodiment work quite literally changed and transformed my life. It is the foundation of the work that I do with women in my spaces. And I actually think embodiment is the key missing piece for today's modern day woman. And I believe that a disconnection from our bodies, a lack of embodiment, so living in a disembodied way, is the key thing that is leading so many women to be feeling burnt out, exhausted, unfulfilled, unhappy, unsatisfied, caught on what feels like a hamster wheel of constant doing, but just never feeling the way you truly want to feel. It is what's leading women to be contorting themselves to try to gain external love and approval and belonging and validation. And this is all because of this fundamental disconnection that a woman is having from herself when she's disconnected from her body and when she's living in a disembodied way. And this is primarily because we're operating from the mind. Yeah, women are, and this is the case for men as well, but I work primarily with women. We're up in this mind-driven way of being, and without realizing, we're living from all of the conditioning of who we've learnt to be, who we think we need to be, what we should be doing. Again, what gets us all these external things that we're seeking for. And we're not living from who we truly are, from our center, from our core, from our power, from deep inner alignment. And all of this is found through embodiment. It is found through getting out of your head, learning how to slow down, drop back into connection with yourself, get back into your body, where you can actually start to hear your own inner voice and move from a space that is deeply empowered and aligned with your truth, your values, your desires, and is not just this way of living where you're being pulled all the time and reacting all the time to the thoughts that are going through your mind, that are constantly telling you how you need to be and what you need to be doing. And when we're being pulled by the mind all the time, we're living often in quite a stress-based, fear-based, disconnected and disembodied way. So I really guide women a lot in my work, like back into their bodies, because this is where you will find your true power. And there's so many other things you experience when you really take the journey of embodiment, which I'm going to be talking to you about today in this episode. And you're really going to get a sense of what it means to live as an embodied woman. I am also running a training this month on this topic, and the training is called The Embodied Woman. It's a free 2-day training. And the thing that's so powerful about this training is it's got 2 parts to it. I'm taking you through a 90-minute masterclass where we're going to go so much deeper into understanding embodiment and how to work with it and how to practice it, and why this is such a life-changing practice for us as women and completely changes the game when we start our journey of embodiment. And I'm also taking you through a guided live feminine embodiment session. And I only tend to lead guided feminine embodiment sessions in my paid programs, especially in Divine Femme. So to get the opportunity to come to a live guided feminine embodiment session with me is pretty cool, and not something that you'll get to experience probably again anytime soon. And this is where we're going to move through a practice together. And you're really going to get to feel and understand what a deep connection with your body actually feels like. on a somatic, visceral level, how you can actually activate different feeling states and qualities in your body through embodiment practices. And it's going to bring you really into connection with your feminine. So you'll get a really felt sense experience of what it feels like to be in your feminine energy. I would love to have you in this training. We already have over 100 women registered, and I've only had it live for a couple of days. So if you want to join us, come down to the show notes, look for the link to the Embodied Woman free training. It's happening on October 22nd and 23rd. And if everything in this episode resonates with you, then this training is going to take you even deeper. So I would love to see you in that free experience. This isn't something that I do often. I don't often run free trainings, especially 2-day trainings. So come and make the most of it and come along. A replay will be sent out if you're not there live, but I would love to see you there. So let's really open up with understanding what embodiment means, because maybe it's something you've heard about. Maybe you sort of have an idea or a conceptual understanding of embodiment and maybe what it means to be an embodied woman. But let me fully get into it with you so you can actually understand it and maybe even start to feel it as I'm talking about it with you. So the way I describe embodiment is it's the process of fully re-inhabiting our bodies. Once again, becoming one with our body, feeling at home in our body, and actually expanding our capacity to meet and feel and be with everything that is happening inside of our body, which means we are no longer avoiding, numbing, distracting, disassociating, ignoring what's coming up for us, abandoning ourselves inside of that, and escaping from our feelings, our emotions, and our body sensations. But we are expanding our capacity to be with that and feel it and stay present to everything that's happening inside of our body. And here's the thing, when you re-inhabit your body, you re-inhabit your true essence. Yeah, your true soul essence. You become one with yourself. You heal all of this fragmentation that has happened throughout your life, where you've begun to reject certain parts of yourself, disconnect from certain parts of yourself, suppress certain parts of yourself, judge and try to get rid of certain parts of yourself, where over the years of your life, you've picked up this conditioning around what parts of you are good and what parts aren't, what makes you lovable and what doesn't. And all of this conditioning shapes you, and it builds this identity that you now move through the world from. You are literally living from a learned identity of who you learned to be based on your environment growing up, who you learned to be in order to get connection and belonging and love and security and to feel good enough. And what embodiment does is it actually invites us to start unlearning a lot of that conditioning and find our way back to our true selves once again, almost who we were before we picked up all of that messaging about ourselves. We start to really feel back in connection with our true essence. And that's why from here, we can hear things like our own inner voice, not the voices of all the other people around us that we've picked up throughout our lives. We hear our own inner voice. We hear our own desires, not the desires of what we've learned around what we should be and need to be, for other people, right? We start to be able to trust ourselves because we've got this incredible connection with ourselves. And what we actually find inside of our bodies is all of these qualities that we've been wanting to feel for so long, that we have been chasing and striving and seeking for outside of ourselves. You actually begin to realize they've been inside of you all along. Love, worthiness, confidence, power, aliveness, joy. It's actually all accessible inside your own body, inside your connection with yourself. So it's this incredible journey of unlearning patterns of avoiding and escaping and rejecting and judging and shaming parts of ourselves, of disassociating from our feelings and unlearning all of our conditioning. Because the deeper you're in connection with yourself and the deeper your level of embodiment, the greater ability you have to start to witness all these different voices that speak to you, all these different aspects of yourself that play out. And then you have the power and ability to consciously choose who you want to be and how you want to move forward. So embodiment, like I talk about it as a journey of descent, descending out of the mind. And as we descend out of the mind and we drop deeper down into the body, we start to just meet all of these layers of ourselves. We meet layers of who we've learned to be and who we're not. We meet layers of emotion that we've never felt, that we've never dealt with. We start to clear blocks inside the body of places where energy has become stuck and trapped and suppressed through all the times we pushed things down. And we start to allow our life force to flow freely inside of us. And our life force I describe as like our feminine energy. It's our Shakti, it's our eros. It is what makes us an alive, radiant being, right? And so when I talk about this current of life force inside our bodies, we want this flowing freely. I want you to think about it like a river. And I often describe feminine energy as being like a river because this essence of who we are as women is our feminine. It's a current of energy. And this current of energy can take the shape and form of our creative energy, our sexual energy, our radiant energy, our magnetic energy, our life force. It's literally what makes us feel alive, nourished, full, turned on, connected to joy, connected to love. So I want you to think about with a river, we want in a river to have the water flowing freely, don't we? We want this like beautiful current that when you look at a gushing river, it feels alive. It nourishes everything around it, right? It's this overflowing, abundant wellspring of energy. But if we start to see that river get blocked, a tree falls down and blocks the flow, we have rocks or boulders or different things happen where the current of the water stops flowing and things start to stagnate. And water, if you've ever seen it, that is stagnant, that's been sitting there for a long time, not moving, it's not overly magnetic or enlivening to look at. It feels dull. It feels like there's things growing there that shouldn't be growing there. There's no aliveness to it. And this is what happens inside our own bodies when we become disembodied, right? We disconnect from the current of energy. The energy inside our body stops flowing and we just begin suppressing, closing, guarding, putting up walls inside of ourselves, shutting off to parts of ourselves, not wanting to feel certain things. And all of these are walls and blockages that we build inside our body. And then we wonder why we're feeling pain. Then we wonder why we're always tense. Then we wonder why there's this rigidity and contraction that we feel inside our bodies. It's all the walls that we've built. It's all the closure, the suppression, the shutdown, the disassociation. It's all the times that, something moves inside of us and that current of energy wants to move again. Our body's like, feel this emotion. We go, no, push it down, eat over it, scroll over it, suppress it. And it's just like with the river where you put something in that blocks that flow and then the water starts to stagnate. And this is why when a woman is not in her body, moving energy, knowing how to work with the practice of embodiment, she might feel stagnant, blocked. She might feel disconnected from her sexuality, struggling to experience turn on and pleasure. She might feel kind of dried up around, she's lacking inspiration. She's lacking creative energy. She's lacking drive. Everything in her life feels stuck and stagnant. Yeah, she might not feel very radiant or magnetic. She might feel tired and dry and depleted and blah. Yeah. And the way that energy flows through our body is reflected in how energy flows in our life. And this current of energy, like I said, it's this one energy that is your sexual energy, your creative energy, your life force energy. And when it stagnates inside your body, energy stagnates in your life. Okay, so embodiment work, a lot of the work I do with women is we start going in, we start feeling. We start getting all these places that you've numbed and blocked and shut down and not been willing to feel. All these parts of yourself you've been rejecting and pushing away, we start getting all of that flowing, which means you start feeling your emotions again. You start using practices to move energy. You stop escaping and avoiding. You start going in and being with the sensations that are alive. Okay, so, when a woman comes back into being embodied, she gains access to her power. Because here's the thing, and we've kind of, I think, gotten a bit confused in our society what power means. But for a woman, her power does not come from her mind. Her power does not come from her intellect. Her power does not come from her strategy, from how much action she takes, from what she's doing, from what she's achieved. Her power comes from her level of embodiment, who she's being, the energy she radiates, the frequency she emanates, the transmission that is felt, that literally just exudes from her. Her power comes from her attunement to her intuition, to her personal truth, to her discernment, her ability to say no and set boundaries. Her power comes from her deep connection to her feminine energy centers, her heart, womb, and yoni. Yeah, this is where a woman's true power comes from. It's a being-based power. It's nothing to do with what she's doing. And so a woman is losing connection to her true feminine power when she's not connected to her body. And she's having to over-rely on action and doing and trying to prove herself and hustle and push and force to find a sense of power or control everything because she's lost touch with that inside her own body. And I also believe that disembodiment is why so many women are getting caught in patterns of wounded feminine and masculine energy. I teach this a lot in my work, that we can get stuck in wounded feminine or wounded masculine, because we're using these energies to try to get things from outside of us to feel how we want to feel. So when we're in wounded masculine energy, we're going to be running patterns of overdoing, overworking, overachieving, trying to be perfect, trying to prove our worth through how much we're doing, being the strong, independent woman, guarding our tender, vulnerable feminine hearts and just hustling our way through endless doing and accomplishments. And when we're in the wounded feminine, we are using our energy to seek for love and validation and connection and approval by trying to be the good girl, people pleasing, make everyone happy, overgive, be over accommodating, abandon ourselves because we're trying to get something. Through the wounded masculine, we're trying to feel good enough. Through the wounded feminine, we're trying to feel lovable. And this is all patterns of disembodiment, because a true empowered embodied woman, a woman in her healthy, mature, divine feminine, knows how to source those feelings from inside her own body. And this doesn't mean you can't receive it externally. But when you source it first from within your own body, you don't have to seek and grasp and chase for it. You don't have to move from your wounded feminine and masculine energy in order to try to get things from the external. You source it from within, and then you become magnetic to receiving it from the world around you. Yeah. So when we are embodied, like this is when a woman comes home to herself. She starts to live guided by her deeper wisdom. She can hear her true self. She's connected to her heart, her desires. She's in tune with her feminine cycle, her womb wisdom. She knows how to alchemize her inner blocks through embodiment work. It's one of the hugest things that I teach. The biggest thing that I teach women is when something comes up for you, you can go into your body and use what I call emotional and energetic alchemy to actually just move and process it through your body and clear it. You don't have to be up in your head over analyzing it. Yeah, like I said, when a woman is embodied, she's sourcing what she desires from within. She feels this sense of confidence, wholeness, worth, enoughness, and power from within herself, because all of those qualities come from the depth of connection you have cultivated with yourself. So let me just run through some of the qualities of an embodied woman. I've just touched on them. But just listen to this, receive this, breathe this in, feel it. Yeah, let it land into your body. An embodied woman is connected to her body, her life force, her eros, her pleasure, sensuality, and aliveness. She is creating a life deeply guided by her own wants, needs, desires, values, and truth. She is able to feel and meet and hold and be with the full range of her feminine feelings, from her rage, grief, pain, and sadness to her joy, ecstasy, pleasure, and wildness. She is able to descend down into her shadows to feel and meet the wounds, the darkness, the aspects of her false self, and resolve these patterns at a root cause level through her body. Right? Because she can access the subconscious mind, which resides within her body. She loves, welcomes, and accepts all of herself. She validates, celebrates, and supports herself. She is connected to and embodied in her worth, her power, her authentic self. She speaks her truth. She knows who she is. She's able to set boundaries. She clearly knows her yes and no. She's guided by her intuition, and she deeply trusts herself. She's attuned to her feminine cyclical nature, her menstrual cycle, the wisdom of each phase of her cycle, and she follows her natural pace and rhythm. She has an embodied confidence and magnetism that just naturally exudes from her. She is soft, open, unguarded, surrendered, and receptive. Her body is fluid, free from tension, contraction, and closure. And she is sensually and sexually expressed. She lives in tune with the pulse of her eros. So feel that versus what disembodiment feels like. And when we are in a space of disembodiment, like this is when we're stuck in the head. And so what I see when we're in disembodiment, I see this in women that I work with, and I see it when I'm feeling disembodied, because I still experience this. We are constantly stuck in our mind. We are in racing, looping thoughts. We're very often in anxiety and worry because we're future pacing about the future, predicting worst case scenarios and terrifying ourselves about it. We are operating from this really logical, rational space. Everything has to make sense and feel safe to us on this logical, practical level, which means we're not embracing the unknown and the mystery of life. We're often controlling because that's the mechanism of the mind. I have to control everything in order to feel safe. We will likely feel quite closed and tense and tight in our bodies because there's so much that we are not feeling. Yeah, we're carrying tension, rigidity, contraction, armor, guarding in our bodies, and we feel it as this tight, tense, closed body. We will find ourselves in numbing behaviors and avoiding behaviors. We will be emotionally eating, scrolling Instagram endlessly, watching Netflix, working over what we're feeling. We will likely be in this really busy, rushing, frenetic space. Do. Barely breathing. Actually functioning in survival mode. On edge, unable to relax, unable to slow down, possibly feeling quite reactive, just like constantly reacting to the different things that are coming in. And ultimately, disembodiment leads to self-abandonment. Because as a woman, our body is our guide. And if we are not able to feel our body wisdom, which is our truth, we are disconnected from that inner guidance, that yes and no, our boundaries, our needs. We're not prioritizing ourselves. We are just constantly overriding the body, what we're feeling, what we're needing ourselves to keep up with the demands of the external world, to keep everyone happy around us, to keep performing in the way we're supposed to be performing. And this is how majority of us are living. And it's super stressful. And I have found embodiment is the place where I have found the most peace and grounding and calm and capacity to regulate myself. It's through the body that we really regulate ourselves. So I'm going to go so much deeper into all of this in the Embodied Woman free training. There's so much I can teach you about embodiment. So I'd invite you to come along to that training if you want to have a deeper experience of this. But let me just leave you with a couple of steps. If I was to give you maybe a handful, I've got 8 here, we'll see how many I feel to share, of little steps that can start your practice of embodiment and becoming a deeply embodied woman. And like I said, come to the free training if you want to go further into this. Number 1, start feeling your emotions. And often I have to work with women on actually feeling safe to start feeling their emotions, because at some point they learned that it wasn't okay to feel, or it wasn't safe to feel. So we often need to work through that, but start feeling your emotions. Notice when you avoid, escape, distract, numb out, eat over it, scroll over it, and start connecting with what you're feeling. Start paying attention to the emotions that are coming up in your body and allowing yourself to feel them. Number 2, begin incorporating some somatic practices. I teach so many different embodiment practices, but I would highly recommend that any woman who wants to deepen her embodiment has a daily practice that connects her with her body. And this isn't your workout and things like that. This is where you come into non-linear movement. So I would invite you to even have a practice each day where you put on one song or maybe 3 songs. So maybe you move for between 5 to 15 minutes a day. Let your body move intuitively. Move in a non-linear way where you just close your eyes and feel and move. And this is where we start to let energy start to move and circulate through the body, and actually integrating embodiment practices. And you're going to learn a really beautiful embodiment practice in the Embodied Woman. Is one of the most powerful ways. This is where I started my embodiment journey, was through working with embodiment and somatic practices every day. Number 3, practice breath work. Start to learn how to deepen your breath right down into your body. Breathe into your belly. Breathe all the way down into your pelvic bowl. Breathe all the way down into your feminine root. Use your breath as an anchor throughout the day to deepen your awareness out of your mind and into your body. So let the awareness follow the breath. As you guide your breath deeper into your body, follow that with your awareness. And deepening our breath is such a quick and easy way to get back into connection with our body and get out of our heads and also regulate our nervous systems. Number 4 is to check in with your body and resource yourself through the day. In Divine Femme, we do a lot of work on resourcing and understanding what this means. Really important for our nervous systems and our embodiment. But I often invite my clients to work with the questions, what am I feeling and what do I need? So to do little check-ins on your body throughout the day, where you just close your eyes, take a breath and ask yourself, what am I feeling and what do I need? And then actually act on what your body is saying that it's needing in that moment. Number 5 is making sure you're tending to your body's most basic needs. This sounds so obvious, but when we're in a pattern of disembodiment, we will very often be doing things like under-eating, forgetting to eat, not going to the bathroom when we actually need to go to the bathroom, not drinking enough water, not sleeping enough. These are the basic things that resource your body and actually help your body feel nourished and taken care of and safe. So that was even a foundational thing I had to work on, was making sure I was eating enough and I was eating regularly, that I wasn't skipping meals, that I was using the bathroom when I needed it, that I was taking a break when I needed it, that I was sleeping enough, that I was resting, that I was drinking enough water. It sounds really obvious, but you'd be amazed how many people aren't even meeting the basic needs of their body in a way that creates inner safety for their body and themselves. Number 6, slow down. The minute we slow down, we drop deeper into our body. Slow down the way you talk. Slow down the way you walk. Slow down the way you're making a meal. Slow down how you're washing your hair in the shower. Slow down your commute to work. Slow down your breath. In any moment, if you just invite yourself to slow down whatever you're doing, you're going to feel yourself actually drop a little bit more into your body and feel a little bit more. We can't feel anything when we're rushing, okay? Feeling requires us to slow down. Number 7, connect with your menstrual cycle. If you are not already tracking your menstrual cycle, this is one of the most powerful things you can do to develop a deeper connection with your womb, with your body, with your feminine energy and your feminine cycles, right? Because your body is cycling every month, every week. You're moving through a different energetic season. The more attuned you become to that, the more attuned you're going to be to your body, and the more you can meet the needs of what your body's needing each season as you move through your cycle. And number 8, listen to your body when making decisions. So just notice, do you make all your decisions from your mind? Do you make decisions very quickly? Are they based on what you should be doing? Can you invite yourself to slow down and feel through your decisions? Listen to your body. Listen to your inner yes and no. Create space to actually hear what your intuition is guiding you towards, yeah? There's so much wisdom in our bodies if we listen to it. That's where we find our own personal truth. So that was a really quick run through of some starting steps. I just wanted to give you like little entry points there. But like I said, come along to the Embodied Woman if you want to learn more practices, more principles, more tools to become a deeply embodied woman. It's going to be such a powerful training. So secure your spot in the link in the show notes. And we do a lot of this work in my program, Divine Femme, which is my signature 6-month feminine healing and embodiment program for women. And we're going to be intaking and enrolling for that again in October. So if you're interested in that program and actually getting so much coaching and support and a whole library of embodiment practices to connect with your body, to reclaim your feminine energy and really live from your feminine power, keep an eye out for that or join the wait list because we're opening up enrollments for that really soon. Thank you so much for being tuned into this episode, my love. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to talking to you again next time.